All right, guys, welcome back to the Church Debater and Preacher Mike. I'm Greg. Mike, what's going on today?
Well, I'm in the midst of all of this Christmas hullabaloo, and I'm just already tired of
That's a
Christmas
good old fashioned
music.
word.
That's a big word. Christmas music. I'm tired, but I have missed you.
I'm easy to miss. I'm easy to
Well,
miss.
I haven't said that about you very many times, but I have missed you because this is a fun thing to do, and I think our loyal listeners would like to have us back together. And
And if you remember, I called you this
Mhm.
time because I wanted to do it as quickly as possible because of the theme of the show,
Oh, okay,
because this theme would make no sense whatsoever next week. Nobody
okay,
would want to listen to it at that point.
gotcha.
So I think I may have a very unique type of discussion about Christmas
Yeah.
that may have never have been done on TV or radio before. So let's
Really?
see.
Well,
I've
you
got
would
some
be the one to come
quotes.
up with it. I have no doubt about that.
I've got some quotes from Christmas movies that have either direct or indirect uh, connotations towards religion, and I'm going to read them to you one at a time, and then you evaluate them with your superb knowledge. And if you feel like throwing in a scripture every now and then, that's okay. Uh,
Do I have to tell you the movie? Because I'm sure I'll
no,
fail.
you don't have to tell me the movie. I'm just going to read. I'm going to tell you the movie. Read the
Good.
quote,
All
and then
right.
you evaluate it from a religious perspective,
I am
or from
in.
I should say, a Bible
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah. Okay. I'm
All
in.
right, here we go.
Go.
This was actually the very first episode of The Waltons was a Christmas movie. A lot of the actors even changed after that first episode. It was like a pilot. It was
Okay.
called The Homecoming. Me and Kim watch it every year. We
Uh,
we like it. It's hard not to like The Waltons. I mean,
well,
come
yeah, I
on.
agree with that.
But anyway, the wife, the mother, was telling her kids about how she met her husband, and of course her husband's parents live with them, but the husband was gone. He was working to try to make some money and then come back to the family. So she said, when we got married, uh, your dad wasn't a religious man. And then Grandma Walton popped
Okay.
up and said this:
Okay.
oh, he was a religious man, he just wasn't a churchgoer.
Uh,
So evaluate that one for us.
well, you've actually hit upon a soapbox topic of mine that I have
I
not
figured
only
it was.
recently preached on, but I had a conversation with somebody about this very idea. And let me answer your question in a question form.
Okay.
And it'll be not to you, but to the group to consider. All right.
Okay.
Here's the question. Now I'm talking about where I'm discussing this from the standpoint of a person who is claiming to be not just religious, but also Christian.
Okay.
I mean, I agree there's a lot of religions in the world, but from the Christian standpoint, having a general belief in God and Jesus, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Here's the question. Can you love the head without loving the body?
I
Jesus is
don't
the
think you
head.
can.
Yeah. He's the head of the church, which is his body. Can you love the husband without loving the bride? And the church is the bride of Christ. Can you love the Savior without loving those whom he has saved? Obviously not. Those are his people. So I don't think that a person is biblically correct by thinking that they can be somehow religious without having a church family, because they're already a part of it. That's the interesting thing. They're already, if you're a Christian, you're a part of God's family. So
Right.
be there, well, and be connected. I actually had a family that I discussed this with who simply said, I'm closer to God now than I've ever been. And this is since COVID kept them away. And now that they're not in the church, they feel closer to God. Well, I think it's a false sense of security that somehow I can be right with God and not connected to the church that Jesus died for.
Right. Now, I go along with that. In fact, you reminded me of a movie I watched recently. It was a new holiday movie, and the comment in there was, I don't need a church or a priest to feel like I'm close to God, which is kind of what you were getting at.
There you go.
All right. This one is It's a Wonderful Life. Poor old George Bailey was sitting in the bar. Even if people haven't seen the movie, they probably have heard the story. Here's what he said: God, I'm not a praying man, but if you're up there and you can hear me, show me the way. I'm at the end of my rope. Show me the way.
Oh, now that has two concepts connected to it biblically. One, Jesus said, and I obviously think that this is a way to assess a lot of what we see going on. Jesus said, ask, you'll receive, seek, you'll find, knock, it will be opened.
Right.
I believe God reads the hearts of people. And in the reading of hearts, God responds to the sincere, honest heart with the opportunity to find what they're seeking.
Right.
Now, he won't force it on them, but he will put them in contact with it. I have zero doubt about that. And if in that storyline, in that movie, if that were a real scenario, if God heard him say that and knew it was an honest heart, then he would come in contact with what he needed to hear.
And he did. He sent Clarence the angel.
There you go. Well, I think that is a good way of illustrating that, yes, God does respond to an honest heart. Now, the other side of that coin is I can give you quotes of people who have fought their entire lives against the existence of God, who on their deathbed said, if there is out there a God, may he have mercy on my soul.
Right, right.
I believe that is also a statement about a biblical truth. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 11. God has put eternity in their hearts. God, in every human heart, has placed the concept of eternity, the concept of morality, and you can't get away from it. Fight it all of your life. When it comes down to it, there's this nagging sense embedded there by God that says there is something out there better and more. I am not the end of all things. There's some way of defining why we're here, and it's bigger than me.
Right.
And whether you accept it or not, there's that nagging sense inside. So I think that movie represents well the concept.
Right. And, one thing you said that made me think about something. We as Christians also need to be careful that when we pray, we're not just going through the motions, and our prayer is sincere as well.
Great point.
In fact, we could fall into the lukewarm scriptures if we don't have a sincere. If we only pray when we can't make next month's mortgage payment, that type of thing. But anyway, let's go on to Charlie Brown, a Charlie Brown Christmas. This is probably the most popular quote from Charlie Brown. It's one of the girls, I think. No, I guess it's Charlie Brown that says this. He says, isn't there anyone who realizes what Christmas is all about?
Oh, boy, here we go. Here we go. Now you've hit my hot button issue.
Right.
Now you've hit it.
I try to do that every chance I get.
Well, and I offer people the opportunity to know what a lot of those are anyway. That's just who I am. So
yeah, you don't hold anything back too often.
No. I try to couch it well, but I don't hold back. You've hit my hot button issue because I even said this yesterday in a class time. I even said that one of the reasons I have such a hard time with Christmas and not a big fan of it is because it seems to be the most hypocritical time of the year.
Right.
And that hypocrisy to me comes out by seeing these people politicians, musicians, actors, and actresses who spend an entire year promoting an irreligious, immoral mindset or an agenda. And then all of a sudden, for 2 or 3 weeks, they put on this facade that they are these Jesus loving people.
Right.
And it really bothers me. And I mentioned that yesterday.
You did. And let me tell you what it made me think.
Okay.
First of all, you're not a judgmental person, but I think that's sort of a judgmental concept. I could take those same people and say, I love the Christmas time because even the people that act that way 50 weeks out of the year, at least they're nice 2 weeks out of the year. You also use the word hypocrite. And as far as I can tell, when I search the word hypocrite in my Bible, it only comes up with quotes from the gospel that when Jesus had used that word. I'm not sure. Are any of the rest of us authorized to call somebody a hypocrite?
Ooh, that challenges me. I'm going to do a research on that.
All right, do it. You'll find if there's another one. I thought maybe I figured Paul would have said that longer because he just wrote so many letters.
Yeah.
But I guess the letters were meant to be uplifting more so than scolding, even though they were scolding at times too. But that's what my search determined, that only Jesus had used the word hypocrite.
Well, the thing that I think about that is impressive that I need to continue, that I need to research is, it is true that only God can read hearts.
True.
True hypocrisy is a heart issue.
It is.
So what I need to do is change my terminology and say, instead of saying you are hypocritical, I should say, it appears to me, the evidence appears to be hypocritical, but I don't know for sure if it is or not.
Yeah, in fact, I'll add to that. The evidence appears to be hypocritical, so I may be wrong. Tell me why you're not hypocritical.
Good.
I mean, even that didn't sound very diplomatic, but you know what I mean. Give people the benefit of the doubt. I do that in school, really. I say, I heard this about you, but I'm not going to accuse you of anything until you tell me your side of the story.
That's really good. I like the way you put that. So let me then follow through. Here's my thing. The concept of saying, is there anybody out there who really understands? I get it, because it would, if you really understand, then it would be an entire year's life, not just a 2-week life. So I get it, and I can appreciate it. And I think it really signals
that's a good point,
that we need to be, as you said, as Christian people who do have a good sense of what is right all year long. We need to make sure that our prayers are good and sincere and honest, and not just dedicated to meeting our own selfish needs or whatever. But it's a lifetime pursuit. And so what I think he said is true because of the rest of the year compared to the 2 weeks.
Right. All right. So the next one is from my favorite Christmas movie, Miracle on 34th Street. I like it because Natalie Wood was in it as a child actor. She grew up to be an actress. She was with James Dean in Rebel Without a Cause, and then she had a very controversial death drowned in an ocean, I believe is her story, but there were other people with her. So there's kind of a little conspiracy there. But the phrase was from the mother to her, faith is believing in something when common sense tells you not to.
This is a classic case of whoever gets to define the terms is going to win the debate. That's always true. Biblical faith is not defined that way. Biblical faith says, not that I no longer have evidence. What it says is, all of the evidence I have leads me to this conclusion.
Right.
People who have the desire only to have 5 sense faith that we understand, but don't have the 6th sense faith, which is reasoning. God gave us reasoning ability. Now, common sense is a part of reason, but from a human standpoint, a person might say it is common sense when the evidence, when I don't have these things that I can see, then obviously this can't be true. But you're only talking about the five senses. Reason is a sixth sense. And it says, because everything that I find says this, then I know it's going to be true going forward. That's how this process works. And therefore, science, or evidence, if you will, drives me into a direction that is sound and solid because all of the evidence says it is true, rather than jumping off merely wishing it to be true.
Right, right. Yeah, I like that. And I kind of tricked you on that one
Uh-oh.
because that wasn't a phrase about Jesus.
Oh,
That was a phrase about Santa Claus, because that whole movie was about Santa Claus. So, but the concept is still the same.
it is.
All
It
right.
is.
So I'm going to break away and do one, maybe two quotes from movies that aren't Christmas because I just really like them. The first one is from what I'm sure is your favorite movie of all time, Footloose. Okay. All right. The preacher, I love John Lithgow as an actor. He's
Oh, yeah.
probably, calling him a character actor is probably not enough. He was more than that, but I
Yeah.
mean, he was in a good Twilight Zone episode. He's just done so many movies
Third
that
Rock
I've
from the
liked him in.
Sun.
What?
Third Rock from the Sun.
Oh, that's right. That's right. He
Oh,
was.
that's
He's
mine.
probably more of a comedian than he is an actor. But anyway, by the end of that movie, you know the concept behind that movie. By the
Right.
end of it, he plays a preacher who had a kind of a troublemaker daughter in his family. And by the end, he was standing up in front of his congregation and he said, if we don't trust our children, how are they to become trustworthy?
Ah, that's a generally true statement. But that statement, by, shall I say, common sense, by reason, has to have some parameters. So, for instance, if we don't trust our 14-year-old to drive the car on the highway, how will we ever trust them?
Right.
How can they learn to be trustworthy? Well, now, wait a minute. Nobody in their right mind would give the keys to a 14-year-old who's never driven, drive on the interstate to learn to be trustworthy. That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So trusting somebody is true. We need to help them learn to be trustworthy, but you put them within a restricted area that is proper for their development and proper for their maturity. And so you would not want to, for instance, give a child to an atheist and say, learn to debate an atheist so that you can be trustworthy with your own faith. Wait a minute, they're children. And using that now to go with the movie, children have to have a sense not only of what is right and wrong, morality, but they also have to have good training about what their parents expect.
No doubt.
We're living in a time when the parental authority is being challenged on a public scale, where there is the mentality that is starting to build in some places that says parents really don't know what's best for the children. We do as a community. We do as a country. Wait a minute. It begins with parents, and they have to establish good moral principles that they understand, and then give them the freedom to move in an area to test those things, to understand those things, but then at the same time realize as they grow up, they're going to make their own decisions. But they need to make their own decisions after they have been given a firm foundation from which to build their own lives.
Okay, let me I'm going to try to trap you before we close here.
Okay.
I agree with everything you said. I want you to think of something that some parents often won't let their kids do
Okay.
that you would be okay with them doing. How do I want to word this? That you think it's okay for them to, let's go to a party, whatever, to let them show you that you can trust them. Does that
Oh,
make sense? A lot of
absolutely.
parents wouldn't let their kids do this, but you would, because you want to give your child an opportunity to show you that you can trust them.
It's easy for me to give you that because
Good, good,
we
good, good.
did that with our children. And
I knew you did, because you've told me stories
yeah,
before.
we had this reaction. I was raised in obviously, as you were, in a different time frame
Right.
with a different presentation of how things are right and wrong. In other words, I was raised in a time that said, for instance, uh, dancing is a sin, period.
Right. Right.
But there never was any real discussion about, well, is line dancing a sin? Is what kind of dancing is sinful and what kind is not? We never
Right.
had that discussion. It's just dancing. Well, therefore, I never went to a dance in my life ever. As the senior class president, I was supposed to be the first dance with the homecoming queen or something. And I said, I'm not coming. So you have to find somebody else. And I didn't show up.
I hate to tell you this, Mike. There is so many people out there laughing at you right now, but keep going.
It bothers me not whatsoever. But that's how I lived my life, and I didn't have a problem with it. So now I have my own kids, and they're coming into high school, and now they're trying to decide, and I'm trying to decide, and we're trying to decide, are they going to go to the dance or not? Well, I had given them all of these parameters of what I think is right and what is wrong. And particularly, I remember with Austin and Aubrey, I don't remember so much with Stephanie, but with Austin and Aubrey, I finally said, okay, look, you can go to this, you can have your date, dress up, take pictures, go to a dinner, and go sit over there where the dance is. But if I hear one word of you getting up on the floor and acting stupid, you're in trouble. That was their junior year. They went, they came home, and they said, we will never go back to another one.
Okay. All right. You told me that story before.
Because they saw stuff that they did not think was a good environment for them to be in. Now,
Okay.
could we have laid down the law and said, you're not going? Well, yeah, we could. We were the parents.
Yeah. Yeah.
But at that moment, it seemed right to me, having given them a firm foundation of way to think and how to act, let them make a decision. And it turned out exactly the way that I would have wanted it to turn out.
I agree. In fact, that's kind of the quote from the movie. That's kind of the lesson they were teaching there as well. And as you know, that involved a dance. So it was the same type of thing.
Yes.
All right. Very good. Very good. I like it. We will try to do this more often, guys. It's just like schedules and everything else have gotten in the way. But I know one topic that I am really looking forward to doing. Maybe next week. Maybe we can get together next week and record. Are you out of town?
No, in fact, if you wanted to, Austin will be in town.
Oh, so I was already going to tell you that I'm going to send them direct emails to make sure they listen to this and confirm the story that you told us, that it happened exactly like that. Because I know Austin will tell me. Austin will tell me.
Now you got to understand Austin. Austin will exaggerate everything he does.
I like
Aubrey
it.
will tell you the plain, honest truth.
Well, so I don't want to talk to Aubrey then. I want to talk to Austin.
Yeah, you do.
All right, guys. Mike, close this with the profound thought of the week.
Profound thought of the week is this, and it came out of, I hadn't even remembered that I always do this, but it came out of our discussion during this time. Here's the profound thought.
Good.
You're never too old to learn. Greg taught me some stuff here, and he challenged my thinking and has said in a way that says, it's good to learn. It's good to be challenged. It's
Yeah,
good to have your faith challenged as well, because that's how it grows. But certainly your approach can always be better. And so
sure.
always be open to letting somebody, to learn from somebody how to be better. I think that's a
Yeah.
great way to close.
Yeah, and every time I teach a Bible class, as many as of them as I've taught, I feel like I always learn something every time.
Amen to that.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's it for us. So we'll see you next time on the Church Debater and Preacher Mike. Say goodbye, Mike.
Goodbye, Mike.